What's up? It's Way Up with Angela Yee, and a legend is here with me, Johnny Gill. Welcome to Way Up with Angela Yee.
Yeah, old legend, huh?
No, you're not. Look at you. You a young player. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And you're getting the Entertainer's Key to the City this weekend.
Oh, my God. Let me just tell you, I'm so excited and I'm so grateful. It's funny because you think 42 years later, it's kind of like, hey, man, you done had it all and done it all. But I never take any of this stuff for granted. I mean, it's just like a funny thing is the older you get, the more you appreciate, you have a great appreciation for all these things. Because when we was younger, it was like, everything is damn near a blur to me, when, because you're just living and you're just in the moment. But now it's like when these things come in, seeing people give you their flowers. And for me, it's not about my ego. It's just a confirmation that I've been doing what I'm doing and that your work is not going unnoticed. So for me, I put it
It's
in perspective.
gratitude.
Yes.
You know, you've had a long and storied career, even thinking about 35 years since the first solo album, Johnny Gill, was out. That's crazy. This year.
Yeah. Well, that was the big one, the My album. But even before that, there was the duet album with Stacey. There was the Have Crazy album.
We're going to talk about that.
So it's been, 42 years?
42 years of you in this business.
And I'm only 52. It's just weird.
How did that happen? You did start young, you know.
Oh, yeah, I did, huh?
And you know what's interesting? Your brother's here with you today. One of your brothers is here. Yeah. And it's just funny because I was thinking about how as a kid, because you're the youngest of four, and you guys had a group coming up, and you were the one that was just...
They pushed me out there. They kept punking me around.
It
was like, get out of there. And it was my voice was so high at one point. Remember Daddy was telling me about singing low because my voice was so high. And it just dropped one day. Like all of a sudden, it was just no longer high. But I was like, hey, how you doing?
What was that? You know, sometimes as a kid, when you can really sing, because I remember, my brother's going to kill me for this, but when we were young, my brother could sing, but he had like the little high-pitched voice. But once your voice undergoes like that transformation, you might lose that ability. What was that like for you when your voice dropped?
Well, it didn't bother me, actually, because I always kept in my mind, it was burned in my brain of what my dad always talking about, hey, you sing it too high. And I probably because I was influenced by my mom, and my mom had a pretty, high voice. So I don't know, but it just happened like out of nowhere. But I was happy when it happened. But I didn't really even notice it, to be honest.
Yeah, you was a kid.
Yeah, I was a kid.
Were you singing like love songs too?
Just all gospel songs.
Okay.
And then as I got older and got that contract, actually in elementary, that's when I started singing in the Glee Club, and that's when they started making me sing a few love songs, and I was like, oh, this works. This is all right.
You like, I don't even know what this is about, but I'm singing it.
Yeah, I had a crush on a few girls, and I was like, yeah, Daddy's on his way.
Stop it. But you truly have like the iconic voice. People look at you as like that voice. It's interesting to me also how, like you said, when you first started off with Stacey Lattisaw, right? And you guys were definitely a perfect combination.
Literally.
Literally. And, I saw the stories about how you guys dated, but then her family wasn't that into you.
Yeah.
And they've disputed that. Like, it's not true.
Well, I'm sure they would. But, I mean, I often say this, and we all know this to be a truth. It's like my truth might not necessarily be yours, but I can only tell you what my truth is. And you have every right to. And listen, it's not like it was the end of the world. It killed me. As a matter of fact, it made me stronger. It made me better because I really had a complex of being dark as a kid, younger. And but it is what it is. But I've often said, even when we talked about that, was that I've never experienced anything of any level of disrespect, any level of any of that stuff being around, So I just had to deal with it, and I dealt with the fact that I had a manager and Henry Allen, who was the president of the record label at the time. They all was putting it in my head about, I don't like you. But she's never treated me anything less.
It's crazy because Bobby Brown had that story about Janet too.
Yeah.
Kind of like how the family had an issue with them dating.
Yeah. And, he has his story and she has hers. And I know both of them, and they don't match very well. That I can tell
and that's
you.
what happens. Like my truth, your truth,
match.
and then the truth. It's interesting because nowadays I feel like, and for quite some time now, that chocolate is in though. You have to say.
I appreciate it now, but back then
it was
really
tough,
like,
remember?
I was like, remember it was always the light skin versus dark skin, and I hated it.
Yeah.
When the barges came out, I was just like, man.
A whole family.
They just was tearing it up for a while. But then dark chocolate came back in.
Yeah.
And
it never left.
It was.
Never left. I do want to also talk about, like, because like you said, you grew up singing gospel music.
Yeah.
There was no secular music in the household.
Oh, yeah. Well, they didn't play that. The only time we heard secular music is when we had cookouts, and in the yard they would be playing Marvin Gaye and all that other stuff. But most of during that our time, my dad was a minister, so that's all they had. The radio on was on a gospel station. So.
And sometimes that's tough, though, when you go off and you start doing, you got a record contract. How was that received in the household?
Well, to be honest, growing up, when secular music was the devil's music. And it just reached a point at one time I was like, well, guess it's me and the devil.
Oh, my gosh.
We done made a pact.
Yeah, what was that like getting, like, because then you did that, but then for your family to embrace that and to know that it's not.
Yeah, but my dad and my mom, listen, my dad was a minister, but he lived vicariously through me. My dad was excited just as much as my mom was, getting a record deal and taking off to go and do what I was, to go off to record. And, because back in the day, getting a record deal was huge.
Yeah.
That was like, not everybody could get a record deal.
At all.
So it was one of those things that all my family always supported me, but it was just growing up in church that was always just considered secular music was always the devil's music. And as I got older, I began to understand too that in the Bible I was looking and I was searching. I never saw in the Bible where it says a certain beat has to be that makes a song gospel and makes it inspirational. It was just it's the message about more than anything. So you learn as you get older, but it was just as a kid growing up, you don't know any better. You're just like, oh. So I was like, man, what happened when I tell them I done signed a deal with the devil?
Mm-hmm. Why you gotta smile like that? But even just looking at people who are, because I felt like, and I saw you on Jennifer Hudson.
Oh yeah,
amazing.
Yeah,
and then I couldn't tell if you said you really were, because I know you said you plan to do a gospel album.
I am actually.
Okay, so that's really.
It's really gonna happen. It's so funny that a friend of mine came by. And we talked about about getting started on the gospel album. That's going to be dedicated to my mom, of course, and to Whitney. So I'm going to get it done. And it's funny. I think I'm going to beat Stevie Wonder, because Stevie's been trying to do one for about a good 20 years after his mom passed, and he kept saying he's going to do one. And we both started saying, oh yeah, I'm going to do one. We're going to do one. But I think I'm going to beat him. I do really believe I am.
Man, you done exposed Stevie Wonder.
Oh my God! Let me tell you,
that went so viral.
Oh my God!
That he could see. Now you got people thinking Stevie Wonder. He had to actually get on stage and be like, "I know there's these rumors."
Oh my goodness!
You say he beat all of y'all in air hockey?
Oh, he beat our ass. Oh my God!
How does that?
He sure did. And I remember
telling. I need to see some footage.
I remember telling my buddy Keith, this guy Keith John. We were doing backgrounds and stuff, and I remember he beat us so bad, and we was all sitting there talking, going, "Yo, we don't tell nobody. We can't tell nobody this," because I was like, man, and I kept telling him, I was like, "You can see. I don't care what you say. You can see." Because he tore us up.
Another legendary moment you had recently was this cookout that everybody was commenting on. And I saw that you said, and by the way, at this cookout, y'all was singing Luther.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Everybody was there. Cedric the Entertainer. Yeah. I mean, who was in the building for that cookout? And
Stevie, Cedric the Entertainer. It was Anthony Anderson, Tisha Campbell, Jeffrey Osborne, Kenny Lattimore. Who else? It was, oh my God. It was a bunch of people. But as you could see, there was a red cup. I started at 2:30. I didn't finish about 10:30. I remember most of it, though.
Right.
But listen, we had so much fun. And I kept saying, why is it that? Because I do that at the house all the time. I have New Year's Eve parties, just gatherings. And that's how it goes at the house at my parties. And everybody's just always having a good time. And then this one actually went viral because I allowed everybody to use cameras. I mean, to go ahead and take pictures, do videos and stuff. But I was trying to figure out what connected with everyone. And then I realized there's so much that's going on people were just reminded of what it's like to just be around people that you know and love, and just we were just having fun. It wasn't nothing behind it, but just having fun. And it was a blessing, but we had so much fun.
I saw you said it's like the only time you didn't get no negative comments
Yeah, it was
or
just
posts,
like,
because
I was
normally
like, well,
people have something
yeah, it was the most. It still blow my mind, because most of the time, yeah, people got something crazy or stupid to say. Everybody was just talking about, I want to be there, and if I could only tell you how many phone calls I received,
Like, why wasn't I invited?
Exactly, and talking about when is the next one. Well, I am going to do another one, but I was like, I'm not telling all of y'all.
But it feels like this also could turn into something more, because when something like that happens organically,
Yeah,
doesn't it feel
everybody's been
like
asking
maybe
me.
there's something to this?
Yeah, and everybody's been saying, hey, man, you really should consider. I just thought it was just a one-time thing. And, with this social media stuff, the craziest thing is people shoot content all the time and trying to put it and release it for it to go viral. I just think it just happened because it just happened. I'm not sure if I did another one it would actually happen again. So I'm just like, it was just us having fun.
It's interesting to me because I look at you as a person who you've been around, like we said, over 40 years doing music.
Yeah.
And in spite of everything that's happened, like, it doesn't feel like you've ever had no crazy moments that we know of.
No, it's just not.
And that's a hard thing in this business.
Yeah.
To not like crash out ever. And
It's for me. It's just I've lived, but my like I was saying earlier, my dad was a minister. I grew up.
That don't mean nothing though. You know them.
I know we're the worst,
ministers'
right?
kids be the be the ones.
And it's not like I was I was a little bad Johnny at one point. But my bad would be the worst for me. Probably in bad would be I think any other kid. I was 15, 16 years old, and chasing girls. Might be the worst thing that. Breaking hearts. And I eventually got mine broken. But I learned from that. I was like, this don't feel good. But
was that your first heartbreak with Stacey Lattisaw, would you say?
I would say that was the first. I would say that was the first. I haven't had too many more since then, but I have had a few.
Right.
I had a few, but for the most part though. But that might be the only thing. I'm not an addict. I've never done drugs. I don't steal.
That's
from
commendable.
People, somebody keeps going, well, I can't wait to hear your story and to write a book or do whatever. And I'm like, you don't want me to write a book because you're going to be asleep after the first page.
I don't know though, because I feel like business-wise, look, the one other thing about you that I feel like is different is the groups. Like, you're a person that's been solo, but you've been in several different groups and different iterations. And I feel like your story, and I remember we talked about this, right, with the New Edition story.
Yeah.
We didn't get to really see.
Right, that how my story
And I feel like there's a lot of things you
never thought about.
probably held back on telling, too. Because I also look at you as the type of person who is not, like, giving us all of that, but maybe there's a time for it when
when I'm dating girls, if somebody says something or mentions something about dating, it's like you out of here, you gotta go. I don't
wait, what?
I don't want, because my personal life is my personal life.
Yeah.
That's why so many people have always questioned, what is he doing? Is he gay? Because I don't listen. That's my life over here. And one thing, especially for relationships, when you're in this business and everybody's got an opinion, it turns into a number of things where, you want to be able to save something for yourself. And I think you have to build a strong foundation when you go out and decide you're going to put your relationship out there and you're going to be doing, because it's a lot comes with it.
Yeah, there is.
And so I prefer to keep something for myself, and that's my life.
I saw you. The only time I seen you really go in was recently over these rumors. And it's interesting you say that, because how do you know? I feel like you've done a great job of not even bothering to address it.
No,
but
most of the time I'm just like.
But this particular time you were like, okay, now this is enough. And sometimes people feel like, man, I wish I would have been addressed this so it wouldn't keep coming up. Because we try to take the high road and say, I'm not going to say anything. But then it just continues because people take your silence to mean it's true. Or if you say something, they're like, oh, he's protesting too much.
Yeah, but listen, the dumb rumors, I don't have a problem with that. That's so stupid, and it's been going on for how many years? So the rumors is not, that's one thing. But when you lie on me and say you saw something that you didn't see, something I've never done in my life, that's where it becomes a problem. And that's when I got with the lawyers, and they said, this is defamation. And bro, man, you know it's coming.
Oh,
You
so
know
there
it's
really
coming.
is a lawsuit
It's
coming.
Okay. Listen, you could call me, say whatever you want to say, but when you reach a point when you're talking about you're lying, to say you've seen something that I've never done in life, it's like, nah, at that point, all bets are off.
You know, it's interesting to me also. I remember, I think it was an article that you did around Father's Day about being a father.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
we don't hear. So your son is now how old? Like 19 or
in college.
19 years old in college. Did your son know growing up that his father was famous? Or when did he realize he had a famous dad?
I think he realized he had a famous dad. Actually, he might have been about 4 or 5. I remember I had to sit him down, and his mom said he's going through this stage where he's going, you know who my dad is? You know who my dad is? And I had to sit him down. I said, listen, son, everybody don't like daddy. So we got to keep things kind of low key because, you know, sometimes people can be mean and they might say things that might be, you know, so I tried to explain that to him. But it's like, you know, and plus we want to keep you safe. You know, sometimes there are a lot of crazy people out here. And if they know who your dad is, you could, you know, be in more danger. So we want to just lay low and not tell everybody, okay, deal? Okay.
and he understood from that.
Yeah. He sure did. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Now, I also saw, you know, and we saw the New Edition movie, and we've talked about this like numerous times, but I always love to make sure, because sometimes people still act like it's the first time they heard it.
Yeah.
But even with you joining the group, you were really put there to replace Ralph Tresvant, but then he didn't end up leaving the group. Right. And people thought that it was for to replace Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
At the time that you joined, but then you ended up in a group with them, which is interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on at the time. Mm-hmm. I had no idea that when they was even asking me about coming into being into the group, they told me, well, it's just going to be the fifth. We want to go back to a 5-member group because the choreography is a lot more effective, blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking, okay. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize until I got there and we got into Minneapolis, all the madness that was going on. I was like, well, damn, okay. All right. And then, you know, of course, Bobby and I, chocolate on chocolate. So the first thing they think, oh, he came in to replace Bobby. And it was like, no, I really didn't. No.
Yeah. No, and listen, the day that you tell your stories from everything that we haven't had a chance, you know, to hear, because I feel like also just thinking about, like we said, you were in LSG.
Yes.
You know, as well.
Yeah.
And that's a whole another Heads of State. That's what I was saying. You ended up in a group with them.
Yeah. And then
anyway, tell me how that even happened, Heads of State, because that is an unusual situation. I mean, I guess there was BBD.
We were beefing, the group, and it was always the Republicans against the Democrats.
Which
and
one
so,
are you?
I'm independent. Shoot. I'm on the side of who's right. And at the end of the day, it was always that myself, Bobby, and Ralph that was always sitting on one side of the fence, Mike, and I was sitting on the other side of the fence with stuff. And it's just crazy when you look at our lives and our relationship today. I'm a gambling man. Out of all of us, I think I gamble the most. So someone has said, you guys are going to come to a place with our brotherhood that's going to be like so unique and like no other. And if you had told me that, I'd have lost everything I owned. But
right.
I look at where we are today, and who would have imagined that could be where we are? I mean, our relationships are not like it's just business. We're on phones talking to each other about the kids or talking, and there's no business to be talked about. It's just, what are you doing? Where you at? What's going on? It's like all of us, and it rotates from everybody. So it's kind of like you look back and you just go, wow, who would have ever thought, 6 of us would have that level kind of a relationship, but growth. That's what happens when you come full circle too.
How was it doing Heads of State with you, Bobby and Ralph?
That was fun. That was fun because we didn't record. We just used our catalog, and it just started going crazy. Like, I mean, it really went bananas where we just was enjoying that until we had gotten to the point where we was talking about this, the opportunity of this whole New Edition coming back together. But we used to have a blast.
I remember when I was in college interning at MTV for Fred Jordan, and he took me to a New Edition concert. I was so excited because he was like, hey, I got an extra ticket. We're going to go see New Edition. And that was like the most amazing show I had seen up to that point in my life. And I want to say, but then there were all these, like, everybody has a separate bus, everybody's doing this, they're not getting along.
Yeah,
they had
it
to
was
come
crazy.
back together just to do the tour.
It was wild. It was crazy. And no, because we had to finish a tour that we ended up, that was a nightmare. It was like everybody was just all over the place. And, you know, once again, I was, you know, I'm the oldest. So I'm always sitting there trying to figure out how to make it, pull it all together. And it's a blessing to be able to see how we all have come together. Learning how to listen to every individual, giving everybody a voice, making sure everybody has feel a sense of value, and that means whether I agree, disagree, whether your ideas sound crazy as hell, we still got to hear from everyone and figure out what we feel is best. But to do that allowed, I think, us to really grow, because it allows everyone in here to not feel like they don't know where they belong or what's having a sense of value for this group and in this group, because teamwork makes the dream work, and everybody is important and have contributed to why this group is what it is today. Everyone.
What would you tell a young Johnny Gill now, you know, with the wisdom that you have? And like you said, you could have never imagined you guys would get to this point to where all 6 of you could be together doing shows again.
Well, looking at where I am in the position that I play within my guys, my brothers, and how people have always said to me that you're an old soul, like you've been here before. I used to hear that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of language that I speak, this message that I speak, I've been talking like this since I was 18, 19, 20
You're like a
years
little
of
old
age.
man back
they
then.
used to say, and that's why I've always hung around older people, simply because they just always said that you're like an old soul. And to this day, that's just what I found, that it's like my story hasn't changed. Looking at life and looking at it in different perspectives, and understanding that there's, you know, these things that we do, we have to recognize and understand and put life in perspective, has always been a goal, and has been something that has been an awareness for me that I've had for I don't know how many years, learning how to talk to people, learning how to respect people, being conscious and aware of what you're doing, how you're going to say what you're going to say. That didn't just start when I reached this age. It started early on. And most of my friends I've had since I just turned 59, and I've had most of my friends all of my life. The ones that come in my life, it's very few that have gone unless they passed away. But
we don't ever hear no bad Johnny Gill stories.
No, because I'm such a true believer in treating people the way you want to be treated. Even my friends, all my friends that I've been knowing for years, I'm still conscious and aware that even if I'm going to say something to them, I think about what I'm going to say before I say it, and how I'm going to say it. And I don't take it and use it as a crutch. Y'all know me. You know what I mean by it. If I've said something that's going to be offensive or offend you, we need to have a conversation.
Hold on. What's your sign?
Gemini.
That's rare.
Well, people keep saying, but everybody keeps saying.
You're on the cusp, though, aren't you?
Yes, the 22nd. But anybody that knows me, they'll tell you, he's not your typical Gemini.
Yeah,
Everybody says that. Everybody says that, but I don't know. I get in my moods like anybody, but I just learn how to handle them. I don't put them on everybody. I can have these mood swings, but you probably won't know it, because I'm so conscious of just making sure I treat people with the respect, and try to treat people with the way I want to be treated. But I just always been like that. I've always been like that.
You know, on Jennifer Hudson, you talked about the fires, and you were talking about having had it all and then lost it all, but then having to get it back again.
Yeah.
What was the time that you lost it all?
Back when doing the Home Again tour, with all that stuff went crazy with all of us, got sued. It was like we got into taxes. It was a freaking nightmare. I had to sell my home, and it was the worst. I tell you, that feeling, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. But it was something that I had to go through. And I had to go through it because I had to learn from it. I look back and I thank God for that moment, for that time, because it taught me that if I ever had to go through that again, that life is more important, more than those are things. And I didn't, at that time when you're young, you put value into those things. Those things have more, meaning to you than life itself. And because I want to keep up with the Joneses, we all want to have and show off and be out, dressed to do all the whole nine. But it's like these things, once you go through that in life and you realize when you come back, if you're fortunate enough to come back full circle, there's nothing that I purchased, there's nothing that I own that I'm not willing to part with besides God. And so when I I just bought a new home, and when the fires was going off, and it was right over by me, and the only thing I did was took a little roller bag, and it was like, hey, it could possibly hit here. My friend of mine said his buddy was looking, they came by, and he goes, is it me? Or does he look like he really don't care? And he says, no, he don't. It was just my attitude was like, if it's going down, thank you, God, for the time for it and the little short time that I've had in it. I appreciate it all, but I'm like, long as I got my life, I'm good. My health and strength, I'm good. And all of this is just things. Mean nothing to me. They're just things.
What did you learn from that when you did lose your home and had to sell it and everything? Because I also look at you, like I said, I know you're big into collaboration, but I think you've always known that you also can go out by yourself and get it as a solo artist.
I've always understood and said, even during the times we was having issues with each other, I've often said, and that's what I've said for years, I'm like, thank God I don't need permission to put a mic in my hand. And I know if I can get a mic in my hand, get me to the mic, I think I'll be all right.
Right.
I think I'll be all right. So it's just one of those things that I've always felt like that God had blessed me with, and I've just been a true believer. No matter how much you've seen me, collaborate with other people, the truth of it is that I've always been a true believer in not allowing any one person to control my destiny. And I've always been one that has been understood learning the business as well as dealing with my talent, because talent is just a part of it. But, many have come and gone that was just as talented as me, if not more. And truly, it's about understanding the business and realizing that that's a major part of also longevity. So,
you know what I wanted to ask you too, because you have such iconic songs that really bring us back to a space. I mean, when I hear "There You Go," and I think about the movie, like movie soundtracks was it too.
Yeah,
I feel like there's some that hit the same now, like that are, but I feel like it's not like it was. Back then when the movie soundtrack was like its own standalone.
And it was very important for the movies back then too, to have great solid soundtracks for the movies, and they did wonders in helping the movie as well as the movies helped them. So. And
then we hear "Put on Your Red Dress." You know how many people were like, "That's the standard right now. You got to put on your red." You know how many guys bought a red dress for their wife or their girlfriend and laid it on the bed and was like, "We going out tonight."
Y'all welcome. A lot of babies made.
Some of that sweet perfume. But then also you have really great songs that have a faster tempo, right?
Yeah,
Rub You the Right Way. And what do you prefer to perform?
Both, because I'm not a guy that feels like I'm old and I want to sit around and sing love songs all night.
We love a love song.
I love a love song, but I like to get loose and have fun and party a little bit too. As you can see, look at my cookout. Y'all see me with that red cup in my hand? I was feeling real good.
I can't wait for this cookout. Somebody put me on the list.
I'm doing another one. I was just like, everybody kept calling me, when are we doing the next one? When you doing the next one? I'll fly in. Call me. I need to be at the next one. I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to do it. But I was like, we'll figure that out.
What was it like having a Vegas residency too?
It spoiled me, but it was fun, and it was another thing.
You said it spoiled me.
Oh my God! Go upstairs, come back down, and not have to go from city to city to city.
That's what I was thinking. How nice to make all that money.
My goodness!
And then have different people coming to see you every night.
It was like I almost had a tear on the last night. I was like, I mean, is this really over? I mean, I can come back.
Listen, but another tour is happening, right?
You're getting ready to make the announcement. It's a big one.
You like that I know that already?
Yeah, how you know?
Because I began to like the little inside scoop on things.
Sucks. Well, she made the announcement, y'all. I didn't.
I heard Get this key to the city, make this announcement.
Yeah.
What are some things that are still on your bucket list?
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think it's on all of our bucket lists. Mm-hmm. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Been nominated for a couple of Grammys. Haven't won one yet. Hope that one day that'll happen. But if it doesn't, I'm not living for that. That's not what I do. I do this for. It's simply because those things just being given to you by your peers and being recognized and acknowledging my work is all that really is about for me. But it means nothing else for me, and it has nothing to do with feeding my ego to none of those things. Like I said, those things are just things that encourage me, and you have to put those things in perspective. And there was a time, when you're a little younger and you're buck wild, all that stuff has, a different type of meaning to you. But when you get older, it's just like, these are things that we still want to accomplish. but it's not the end all tell all. It's not like if it doesn't happen, I'm sitting here going, boy, I didn't have a complete career. I'm
Right.
just like,
No,
right
you
on.
have. You certainly have, and still making music that I think sounds just as fresh, like
Yeah,
for today.
thank you. Yeah, I'm just enjoying it. I this is what I love doing, and it's not like somebody's forcing me to do this. So, I'm a musician. I create. I'm a singer, and so all these things are part of my being, and I believe this is my calling. This is my destiny. So, and I just want to continue to do it until I can't do it anymore. I just want to have fun with it. And now, as you get older, I really have a great appreciation for doing this. I used to hate recording, but now
Really, I would never think that.
let me tell you, if I had my way, every song would have been recorded one time,
One take.
live, and it's been like, thank you. I used to hate going over stuff. And, no, you got to pronounce that right. I would just be sitting there going, just let it be what it's going to be. But when you're dealing with perfectionists like Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Babyface, and some of in L.A. and those guys, it was just like, no, you got to. But they taught me something. Taught me how to record, and taught me also how to go into and learn how to do it and be able to still be find joy in it and find some happiness in doing it. And now, when I record when I'm feeling it. When it hits me, the creative mood hits me. I stop when I'm not feeling it, or if I'm tired, or if it's not working. I don't feel like you got to hurry up and get this done because the studio's costing time. You got to pay the record company back, and it's all this other stuff that you start occurring. All of these the debts when you're dealing with a major label.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that level of pressure anymore because I
Right.
can record at home. I can stop when I want, start when I want, and so it allowed me to have to enjoy the process of recording now.
What a luxury.
Oh my goodness!
Especially because
Yes.
you know what it used to be like.
Yeah. So it's a blessing.
I was thinking while we were doing this interview about how when we talked about the New Edition movie and how they didn't explore as much of like what was going on in your personal life.
Yeah.
But then you also kind of maybe don't want to show that. Because I know about one heartbreak. I don't know about any others. I don't know what Johnny Gill was doing behind the scenes. But would that have been something you would have been willing to even dive into if they wanted to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's some things that I absolutely would have. I was a daddy's boy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel totally safe until my dad would come home. There was times too of just going back to when we were poor, we never lived in the hood, we never lived in the projects, but we were still poor. I didn't have a clue that we were poor. I mean, shoot, my mom was getting cheese from the school. We were having to have the school. We had to
big
get
blocks
shoes.
of cheese that you gotta slice yourself.
Getting shoes from the
That
school,
doesn't
supporting
melt.
us to get shoes and things because I was missing a lot of days out of school and things that was going on. It was a journey. And my mom, who raised 4 boys, that has been, did it all. I mean, I watched my mom working 2 and 3 jobs and never complained. And it's like to see that and to see what type of woman and look at how we all turned out, all of us. What you see when you see me, you see an extension of my brothers in the same. Everybody has the same type of energy and aura. And it's just, my mom was just an incredible woman who did an amazing job with all of us. And part of the reason why I am the way I am today, even when I was as a kid, I was still doing kid stuff, hanging out and chasing girls and all the other
Breaking
all that
hearts,
stuff.
like you said.
Yeah,
What's the worst way you broke a woman's heart?
Just don't
Is
call
there
them
any?
back.
Is there any? Oh, that's it. That's not. I mean, is there anything that you actually honestly feel bad about? Like, man, I wish I would have did things a little differently. Let's apologize to her right now.
Yeah, there was one that was that was really a really serious relationship, and we had some issues because it was not just me dating her, but she was Indian, so it was just a whole nother
Cultural.
thing. Oh my God, it was one of probably the most brutal relationships that I had ever been in, and I didn't know. I heard about racism, and it exists. I had no idea till we started dating, and how it put us to a point where we wasn't arguing. It wasn't no infidelity. It wasn't none of that stuff. But I remember she used to spend so much time with her parents, and her parents used to come to see her on the weekends. They would drive up to see her, and I would never forget. when we started dating, and she moved out with me, moved to LA with me, and her parents found out finally, and her dad was like just living. He was like, if I die, don't you come to my funeral, and blah, blah, blah. And it was like,
wow.
And I didn't know. This is the first time I ever experienced that, and I'm going, I'm a good guy. What happened? But never got to meet them. Just knew about them and heard about them, and then watching her just completely just start to wither away, just losing weight, and watching her because it was, they're a very tight-knit family, and just watching her just going through that whole process. And my goodness, at one point I was just like, I gotta let it go. We gotta let it go. They say if you love someone, you have to set them free. We both agreed that it was just like it had reached that point where it was just like, man, this is crazy. I was so messed up, and probably, I've been through that maybe 3 times in my whole lifetime in relationships. Mm-hmm. But that one was,
as far as bad breakups, or
just breaking up. Period. It was because it's one thing to break up because you're dealing with infidelity, you're dealing with someone lying to you, cheating or something. It's like, give me something. I think that actually helps you when you have to move and you're, apart.
There's a real reason, like you messed up. I'm not taking it back. But when it's out of when
it's just not like that was. It's like it was a tough one to get over.
That was. I'm sure that was hard for both of you, but for her, man, like you said, I just don't understand how people could be that hateful.
Yeah, I didn't
to your own family.
And for the longest, when I would see Indian people, I would get a knot in my stomach because I thought all of them was like that.
Right.
Until you start to meet other people and they hanging out, and you start realizing that
it was just her parents.
That they were just still from that old school. But it's like for years I would see Indian people and I would just get a knot in my stomach.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I know this weekend is a big one for you. The key to the entertainer's key to the city.
Yeah.
So, and then aren't you also performing, doing New York City Rise, or is
I'm performing. I'm singing all my songs and everybody else's songs. Y'all got any requests? I'm taking them.
Stop it. It's like a cookout.
That's exactly. We're just gonna party and have fun.
That's a big deal. I'm excited for that.
I'm excited too, and I'm so grateful for it. And so many of my friends are coming out, so we're just gonna have fun.
Oh, are they like surprise friends or?
Just friends. Just
us.
I don't know if they're surprised, but I guess, but friends.
Okay. No, I can't wait to see what's gonna happen. And I appreciate you for coming through.
Thanks for
it's always all the time. I told you, like, I was just on vacation with my friends, and I told them, I said, I'm gonna be interviewing Johnny Gill, and everybody was so excited. They're like, tell him we said. But it's just so like nostalgic for me too, and then to see that you still are, here doing great music and doing your thing.
Thank you.
You're still a game changer.
Thank you. Woo! Still in the building.
But thank you so much, and congratulations again. Well deserved.
Thanks for having me, and congratulations to you. It's like I've watched your journey. I've seen you, how we all go through our to the next level of our lives, and we see sometimes going through the process. You be sitting there going, God, what are you trying to do? But when you look around and you see it, you go, I get it.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Thank you. Yes, it is.
God is good.
Indeed. It is, but congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
We're always here and always going to support you.
I appreciate that. Let's keep that. Okay. It's way up.